We build our cities on stone, and we measure our days by the Kaelithen. But stone cracks, and even the burning eye must eventually close. To understand the world of Gyrthalion, one cannot look at the walls we have built. One must look into the dark that was here before us. I hold in my hands the Codex Primus. The ink is grey with age, the vellum brittle as dried leaves. It is the story of the Mzura, the heavy blindness that held the world before time began. It tells of the Vriska, the needle-point spark that broke that silence, birthing the Kaelithen, our judge, and the Ulgorath, the cold dregs of the void. And it speaks of the Drûston, the great grinding tension that hums between them to this day. This is the only record we possess of the silence before the song. It begins not with a whimper, but with a wait.
Before the first breath, before the first memory, there was the long dark, the Mzura, the first silence. It was not an emptiness, but a stillness of stone not yet broken, of iron not yet mined, of a world held in a single seamless block of unmade night. In this vast and patient waiting, time had not yet found its teeth, and the ages lay folded one upon the other, uncounted and unknown. There was no sound, for there was no hammer to fall. There was no form, for there was no fire to shape. There was only the great placid weight of what was not, a deep and unbroken peace. But the silence could not last. Even the hardest stone must hold a fire. From the deep, dreaming core of the long dark, a single seed of heat began to swell, a pinprick of purpose in the patient cold. For an age it was a promise, for another it was a gathering glow. Then it awoke, the Vriska. It was a roar that broke the silence. It was the Kaelithen, and its waking was the first great bellowing breath of a cosmic forge, a radiant star. It did not bloom, it burst forth, a boundless gout of liquid gold and pure making. Its light was a physical blow, a hammer of sheer brilliance that drove back the dark and forged a hollow for a world to be. This was not a gentle dawn. This was a torrent of raw, untamed becoming, a first great act of giving that knew no end and no reserve. Its every flare was a new ingot of being cast out into the cold. It was the first heart, a furnace more, whose every pulse was a wave of creation, a roaring declaration that existence now was. It hung at the center of the new-made space, a golden anchor in the void, its heat the promise of strength, its light the memory of a path yet to be trod. And in its shining, the darkness was given a shape, the darkness was given a name, the darkness was given a border. The burning eye, in its glorious and unthinking giving, was a fire without a hearth, a generosity so vast it burned all it touched, a watcher of the dark places. Its light hammered and scoured the void, its heat bent and warped the silence. It was a maker without a measure, a force without a hand to guide it, and its work was wild and beautiful and incomplete. For light must cast a shadow, and every fire must know the quench. At the farthest edge of the star's roaring song, where the final waves of its heat grew thin and lost their strength, a coldness gathered. It was the dark's memory of itself, a deep and sudden weight, a longing for the stillness that had been broken. This was the great ending frost, the Ulgorath. It did not burst forth, it gathered and churned, a slow and patient curdling of all that the light had left behind. It was the gathering of the ash, the settling of the stardust. It was a hunger, not of malice, but of the abyss. It was the vast, solemn gravity of all things that must, in their time, fall still. Its endless, slithering glide was not of violence, but an unyielding, bitter cold. It was the chill of iron long after the fire has died, the silence of a ruin after the roof has fallen. The Ulgorath was the whisper of an end for every beginning, the solemn promise that all that is made must one day be unmade, and all that is scattered must one day be gathered home. It did not hate the Kaelithen's fire. It was the stepmother's embrace, the law to which all fire must bow. It was the great and final quenching, waiting patiently at the edge of the forge. And so the two were bound, the forge and the frost, the heart of fire and the soul of iron. They were locked in an eternal turning, a great and grinding of two millstones, one of light and one of dark. The grinding and the grease, the Kaelithen gave and the Ulgorath gathered. The star roared its song of making, and the nebula answered with its deep and patient silence. The space between them was no longer still. It was the great hide of the world, stretched taut between the two great poles of being and unbeing. Their opposition created a tension in the fabric of the new cosmos, a deep and resonant thrum, the Drûston, the first groan of the world's bones settling into place.
For eons, this Drûston was discordant, a clash of heat and cold, a wild and untamed tremor. The Vriska was honed. But as the great turning found its pace, the thrum found a rhythm. A slow, steady beat began to sound in the deep, the watch of the eye and the grasp of the settling. A beat of fire, a beat of frost, a beat of making, a beat of unmaking, a ring and a hammering. It was the first law, written in fire and shadow. It was the deep and steady heartbeat of all that would ever be, the first great rhythm, thrumming in the darkness, waiting for a hand to strike the anvil and give the beat a purpose. And there the first scroll ends, in the dark, listening to the heartbeat of a world that has no master. A beat of making, a beat of unmaking. It sounds perfect, doesn't it? The Drûston was humming, the Vriska was honed. Almost poetic, isn't it? But a needle is useless without a hand to drive it. We are taught to praise the maker, but sometimes, reading this, I find myself missing the quiet.